I don't have any music inside of me anymore. At all. I don't. I literally don't. And it's because, I mean, I was trying to explain it to somebody. It's all in here. Like, literally, now that we have access to everything, I have no record collection. And I've lost my direct connection to that music. And it did cause to remind me when was the first time that I was like split open and had that connection where music went inside me. And I was trying to explain it to somebody who was a Gen Z and a millennial. And I was like, you just don't get it. There was a different connection to music when you didn't have access to information. Like Google or whatever, you couldn't read about it. What you had was what you were given, this music. And it was almost like, I mean, I don't know what the word is, but it was precious. You were given this thing, and it was your job to honor it by spending time with it until you figured it out, right? And an example that I was giving them was the fact that there were all these songs that perennially have lyrics that we couldn't understand. Right? Like we didn't know. And there was no way to like look it up. You can't Google it or whatever. And the first one that comes to mind was Pretenders, Breast and Pocket. Does anybody know? Like, yeah, right. What is it? What does it say? I'm gonna use my arms, gonna use my arms, gonna use my legs, gonna use my style. Gonna use my salsa. Gonna use my sad self. Totally, 100% thought sad self. Made no sense. Anybody know what it is? Oh, what are you doing? Look at me like, well, did you know at the time? Oh, fine, go to hell. Okay, I got another one for you. Squeeze. Squeeze song called If I Didn't Love You. Right? Does anybody know the song? Right? If I didn't love you, would you still go by the fire? If I didn't love you, would you make me feel so America? Like what? I dare you. What was it? You don't know, right? Maybe it's maybe love me. Like it's maybe, yeah, right. I didn't even know either. It's non sequitur. I swear to God, though. Like I look it up in Spotify, and you know what it says? It says incomprehensible lyrics. So there you go, right? But the pinnacle, and I wasn't gonna play it, but maybe the pinnacle is this. Yeah, right? Yeah, right? She's so popular, right? Right? She's so popular. Not even close to the lyric. Does anybody know that? Like we would gather around that song, meant so much. A song about domination, world domination and world powers. And even at the show, like we would all be singing and yelling, and I never got to see him by then, but everybody's screaming and yelling like, she's so popular. And he would be standing like, what? Does anybody know what it is?
Yes.
Yes? What is it?
It's French.
It's French. The name of the song is Games Without Frontiers. He's singing Games Without Frontiers in French.
Yes.
Jouer sans frontières. Right? See? So don't even give me that. Like, I still deny it because I was listening this morning and I'm like, she's so popular. Right? But, and they weren't going to tell you. They weren't going to tell us because why? Why should they tell us? Right? It was our job. When they spent years making this thing, this whole thing that was important, and it was our job, or at least we felt at the time, to spend that time until we got it. You know, if it was a good album, you know, your friend would call you, it's like, did you hear the Elvis album, the Elvis Costello? I mean, like, yeah, but I've only listened to it like 6 times. It's like, I haven't got it yet. And it was expected, like, yeah, it's 6 times, you're not gonna get it. Yes. Oh, a lot of them didn't have liner notes. I mean, look, the Beatles had printed all the lyrics, so it's not just that. But it was a different artist, but you were supposed to get it, not just know it, like literally. And it was just a different time. Music was inside of me. And probably the most profound aspect of it was in 1982. when I was a senior in high school. I just graduated high school. I was about to go to Boston University. I had one summer left in New York, and music was in a world that was completely uncertain and about to go from Jimmy Carter into Ronald Reagan full bore, which would basically choices that would lead us up to where we are now. Everything was unknown, but the one thing that wasn't was music. And even as it was changing sonically and becoming a bunch of different things, and synthesizers were new, all those sounds, they weren't arbitrary, and people who shit on the 80s, they were all brand new, exciting sounds that were coming out. And that was the one thing we had inside of us, was music. Even I had no identity. I had no idea. I was leg warmers. I had no idea who I was. You know, you laugh because you had some too. And yes, exactly. But that's what I had, right? But I'd never really seen a lot of live concerts. So I had to get a job, and I miraculously found what was the most perfect, most coveted job, selling the most important food product in New York City that had just been invented. And it was the perfect symbol of a Reagan transition. It was the perfect symbol of luxury and excess and ego, and it was ice cream, but it wasn't just ice cream. Ice cream's luxurious, right? And it's a special thing, and like chocolate chip cookies, like big chocolate chip cookies are luxurious, and you want them as a kid, but we were like, but then that's not enough either. No, we had to have ice cream in like wrapped up together, like encased by two big motherfucking chocolate chip cookies. That's not enough. That's not, no, it's gotta be covered. Like the ice cream has to be covered in chocolate chips too, because this is the city on the hill. Like this is all about me, right? And so I sold chipwiches, right? Which you can get in a store now, but you couldn't get them then. You had to go find a guy with a cart. And I was one of these guys with a cart. And we all had stations. And you kind of had to bowl your way in. I didn't realize that food cart was like a food cart mafia. And I had a cart right in front of the MetLife building, which at the time was the Pan Am building. And it was just me and a hot dog vendor, a soubrette guy, next to me. And both of us monitored that spot, and we just made money all day long. Everybody was lined up for this ice cream sandwich, which they were having for lunch. They were like, fuck it. They're like, me, and it's all Reagan, man. I'm eating this sandwich, it's my lunch. And it was the best. I can't tell you how much fun we had with all these regular people every day. And then one day, as I was wheeling my cart back down 10th Avenue, and I get into the warehouse, my boss taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, kid, come over here. And I go to the back, I'm like, yeah? And he's like, yeah, don't say this too loud, don't tell anybody, but a cart just opened up on Pier 17. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, come here. And, he goes, and I come real close to him. He literally goes, he slaps me in the face. He goes, listen up. It's the concerts. Dr. Pepper, the concerts, Pier 17, okay? Like in New York, at that time, the Woolman Rink used to have rock concerts in the summer with festival seating, and it moved to Pier 17 on the Hudson River. And it was all festival seating, and the tickets were, at the time, pretty much like $9, something like that. He goes, there's 2 ice carts up against the stage. One of those carts is open. You've done a real good job. If you want, I can get you in the door there. And I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know. It's like, it's ISIS. Am I going to make any money? And he goes, hey, come here, right? He's like, it's concerts, rock music, all day long, okay? It's all your bands, and literally, they have no alcohol there, okay? So there's going to be a surprise when you show up. So just go talk to Mikey, tell him I sent you. And yeah, I know. And literally, I'm not joking. So I went down to Pier 17, and I go in, and I'm all like wide-eyed, and I find this guy, he's like sitting in the back, and it's like, hi, I'm Jonathan, I'm here. He's like, oh yeah. Come on over here, let me show you the cart. He brings me over. They got a cart with 3 Italian ice buckets with rainbow and chocolate and vanilla, and there's this space. And I'm like, is this it? This is all the ice? He goes, yeah, this is the space for the beer. Right, so there's no alcohol in the stadium, but this space, we filled up the carts with Rheingold and Schlitz and Miller High Life even, right? And we packed the cart, and we would stand up against the stage and sell like beer all the time. And in the summer of 1982, the concert list was unbelievable. Everybody was there. I can't even imagine, like, the idea of sitting there around all these people who were now coming to me in the same way for chipwiches and witches, and they were like, but they had to buy an ice, so you couldn't just sell them a beer. It's like, you gotta buy an ice. So you're like, oh yeah, I want some ice, and you pick it up and then you give it to me. You're like, yeah, okay, fine. And so it was a dream job because everybody, every night, there was all of this music coming out. It was the first time I got to experience it, and the very best week of that was, it was probably starting on August 28th, which is right after my birthday. I think the very first night of it, the opening act was Marshall Crenshaw, right? Thank you. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That was the opening act, okay? Because right after that, this guy came out. Yeah. All day. All day. And if anybody knows, it was Night and Day tour. Night and Day is a love letter to New York City from beginning to end. And all through the city, this song was playing and was part of the movement of there. And I was freaking out. And that was fantastic, but that was just Tuesday? That was Monday, okay. So Tuesday, a little band called Talk Talk was opening up for this other guy who I'd just gotten into because in high school, senior high school, this guy named Adam Horovitz had taught me how to play guitar and gave me all his Elvis Costello albums. So I was really, really, really into him. And then literally, I come out that night, first song out of the gate, and I was just standing there, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe what's going on. And I was like, it can't get any better than that, except for Wednesday, right? I mean, I was already making money and having a good time, and I really didn't think much about it, but there was another big British band that had come to play, and they had two opening acts, and everybody was talking about them, and I'd heard a little bit, but I really didn't know very much, and I show up early, and we're packing it with beer, and we're just kind of talking, and during the day, it's just us in there, because everybody's waiting outside. In festival seating, everybody lines up, like all day long, and then at 6 p.m., the gates open, and they all come running in, right? And they all like have to find their seats, because there's no seats, it's all bleachers and stuff like that. So we're sitting there, we're putting stuff together, and this band comes out for an interview. And this guy's got a little mic, and he's interviewing them kind of right in front of the bleachers that's in front of the gate. And they seem to be having a good time. And one of them comes over, and he's like, oh, I heard you had some beer. Could you give us a beer? And I was like, I'm goody two-shoes. I was like, we're not supposed to, like, I don't know if I really can. And he's like, all right, Mayor, don't want to get you in trouble. And he goes back, and he gives this whole interview. And what they didn't realize was that it was like 5:45. So in the process of the interview, this band that everybody, about 9,000 people literally were waiting, lined up, was standing right there. The gates open up as they're standing near the front entrance of the gates. And literally a torrent of 9,000 people feverishly, furiously running right by them. They literally, like all four of them are just standing there like this. Like just watching 9,000 people like, get out of my way, man. I got to get to my seat. I got to see them. And he goes all the way back. They just look at each other like, yeah, you want to go in the back? And I was like, yeah, let's just go in the back. So I literally was, I just went in and I grabbed a bunch of beers and I handed them out to these guys. And I'm like, thanks, mate. Right? And they go into the back and the place is packed. And literally, there were two opening acts. The first guy was Gregory Isaacs. Like, amazing. Amazing. I had no idea who this guy was. But once I heard him, I would listen to him every day since. And then after that, literally packed, this guy came out.
Clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. Because I'm Curtis Blow, and I want you to know.
I know, right? And I come out, and literally, every single person there was not having it. The whole crowd. He's like, these are the breaks. Break it up. And the crowd's just like, boo, boo. And I was like, Stan, I can't believe it. But he keeps going, and while he's going, it starts to rain. Like this rain starts coming down, and it's getting kind of thick and thick and thick. And in the midst of all of this rain and all of these people literally collectively yelling, boo, right? He decides after about 3 songs he's had enough, and he goes off. and the rain's getting so heavy, so thunderous that like we're having trouble seeing, and there's no cover anywhere, and it was really clear that this is probably not going to happen. So we started wheeling away, looking for some kind of cover, right? And literally I hear this big loud feedback, like, and then literally through that rain, pouring sheets of rain, right? And as the sky opens up and like God is like standing up there, it looked like Charlton Heston wielding these like bolts of lightning that are throwing down at him. And I'm standing up, I turn around and I look at these guys. And I just can't believe this. And I realize that, oh, they're supposed to be playing in the pouring rain. And I stand there and they're just screaming. And there's sparks flying off their equipment, right? Right? And it's a moment, though, where, you know, we have heavy, thick English accents. I don't even know necessarily what the song is about. And I don't know all of it. But collectively, like, we all know the feeling of what they're saying and how they're talking back to what's happening in their country is exactly the same as ours. And we don't know the whole song, right? But we know one line. And it's 'cause London is burning now. I live by the river. Thank you very much.